I feel that it is the city council person's responsibility to give the constituents and the citizens understanding of the issues. And that's why I will push for, and if I don't get cooperation from the rest of the TEDs, I will certainly do it myself, at least in my district, to make sure that my district is well informed on the issues and understand the issues.
Thank you, Councilman Thomas.
You know, I was listening at the previous speakers, and I heard Mr. Park talk about fire tax. One of the issues that we have is illegitimate information getting out like that. That is on the agenda for this Wednesday night. And when someone pulls it or thinks that it's already in place, the misnomers get out. And that causes the confusion. We're going to discuss it on Wednesday night. We may choose to look into it, or we may not. That is how business is done, you know. Those are the types of things that continue to perpetuate the problem that we have in here, that causes a divide in the trust for the citizen and government. Those are the types of issues that we have to stop, and that's what I'll be working on over the next 2 years.
Thank you, Councilman. Since you mentioned the proposed fire tax, what's your position on the potential new fire tax? And if you're not in support of it, what are some ideas for generating some additional revenue for the city? And I'll start with you, Mr. Roberts.
I will not answer that question because I'm not too familiar with the fire tax.
Well, if you're not familiar with the tax, what are some ways or some ideas that you have about generating additional revenue for the city?
You develop your marina. You don't wait on a big money bag company to come through and say, we're going to hand you money. The county gave you, wanted to give you $5 million like 4 months ago to start redeveloping your marina. You have the fine grant, $1 million to start redeveloping your bulkhead. You have the money within your CRA to start doing your wet slips. And that, in turn, will start generating money for your city. But instead, you wait, you postpone until maybe the referendum passes and you can bring the big money bags back to the table. But you don't wait, because if you, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Councilman Thomas?
I think the question was about the fire tax.
Correct. And if you're not in support of it, then some additional ways to generate revenue.
Okay. The fire tax, if it's a millage reducing, product, that is something that I would have to look at. If it's going to bring our millage rate down, we're almost capped out at 8.9, 9.8. So that's something that it's going to do to lower taxes, to reduce our millage. It's something I'm going to earnestly look at. Right now, I'm still studying it, and I'm trying to make sure that it's conducive for, the citizens of Riviera Beach.
Thank you. Mr. Paul?
Well, I don't think to give people one tax, to lower another tax, make any difference. What we're going to have to do is look at the different departments and see where we can cut some of the fat. It might even take combining some departments. Then we're going to have to develop our assets, what we have. We sit in the most beautiful spot in Palm Beach County. We got Palm Beach, Singer Island, which is a part of Riviera Beach, Peanut Island, and that alone is enough, if we market ourselves properly, to make our city one of the destinational points in South Florida.
Thank you. One of our youngest citizens here tonight, Taylor, is asking this question, and I'm impressed. Contingency planning and consensus building are important factors on being a successful leader. If elected, how will you handle situations in which your plan A doesn't work? How will you address your plan B? We'll start with Councilman Thomas.
I've had a lot of experience at that. Those things, I don't know where Taylor is, but those things are going to happen in life, whether you're on the city council or I see. Those things happen in life. That happens all the time. You sit on a board with, you know, 5 other individuals, 6 including the mayor. And you know, they're not gonna always agree with you, but you have to make sure that you're continuing to think of issues and think of ways that it can satisfy all parts of this board. It's been many a times that I brought up an issue and the board didn't necessarily agree with me. We move on to the next issue. If you keep the city first in your mind and in your heart and know that whatever you're doing up here, you're doing it for the betterment of the city and not yourself, you're gonna be fine.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Paul?
When Plan A fails or don't take you where you want it to go, you have to have alternate positions. A lot of times, you will be able to get part the way where you want to be, but you can't get completely there. So, lots of times, it's going to be difficult when things don't work the way you want them to. But you have to have a way to get as far as you can. So, that's what you have to do. You just work at it and take the best alternate plan that's there for you.
Thank you. Mr. Roberts?
I would like to think that everything that I bring to the table, the citizens or fellow council members would find beneficial to the citizens. Keeping the marina public. Hopefully we get council members that agree with that. Relieving citizens, especially our elders, of undue code enforcement fines. I would hope that the rest of the council persons would agree with that. Helping us, again, our more seasoned workers with their pensions, meet their needs. I would hope that the rest of the city council persons would agree with that. But again, if there came an issue that I did not get, depending on how strong I feel about it, I'm going to the residents with it. I'm going to get the petition signed, and we're going to get it moved.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. Our final question for District 3. Many of the residents of the city of Riviera Beach feel that the citizens spoke in their referendum in the November 2nd election. How do you feel about a potential repeal of that referendum? What's your position? We'll start with you, Mr. Paul.
I think that the city council overstepped their boundaries. I don't know if it was because of special interests or they felt that this was the anchor that was going to push Riviera forward, and they were determined to bring these folks in to anchor what they say would be our economic stimulus. When the citizens say our marina is public, we want to keep it that way, and the city council says, well, we want you to have this, like it or not, then that says that you need to be fired. You know, you hire somebody to do a job and you say, hey, stop, that ain't right. And you decide, I'm going to push it on down your throat. We can't have that.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Mr. Roberts?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Many of the residents of the city of Riviera Beach feel that the citizens spoke on the November 2nd referendum. How do you feel about a potential repeal of that referendum, and what's your position on it?
I supported the November 2nd referendum wholeheartedly. And it wasn't about the language being put on the charter. It was because I felt that the lease was such a bad lease agreement. And supporting that referendum was the only way to get rid of that lease agreement at the time. That's why I supported it. The language that was put inside our charter right now, it can be confusing. However, there are parts in it that are legal and can be moved on, and that's why the judge ruled that it could go on the ballot. The March 8th referendum, it will take us back to before that language was put in there. And since the lease agreement is gone, we can move forward.